How do hackers steal 10 million highly sensitive records without writing a single line of complex code? Well, by simply opening digital doors that were left completely unlocked. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dive straight into the most widespread, damaging, and honestly shocking vulnerability on the web today: broken access control. Picture this. Back in September 2022, the Australian telecommunications giant Optus suffered an absolutely massive data breach. We are talking about 10 million customer records totally exposed. To put that into perspective, that is more than a third of Australia's entire population suddenly having their most private, sensitive information out in the open. Wild, right? Section 1. The ultimate digital lockpick. No coding required. Okay, so let's dive into this. To understand how millions of passports, driver's licenses, and home addresses were stolen so easily, we first really need to ask, what exactly is broken access control? To give you some context, we look at the OWASP Top 10. This is basically the cybersecurity industry's ultimate awareness document. It outlines the most critical security risks to web applications out there. And here's the crazy part. Since 2021, broken access control has ranked as the undisputed #1 threat on this list. In their research, an astonishing 100% of tested applications had some form of this vulnerability. It is literally everywhere. Section 2. What is access control? The middle school analogy. So let's break this down. Think of it like being back in middle school. Authentication answers the question, who are you? It's exactly like showing your school ID to the security guard at the front doors to prove you're actually a student there. Authorization, on the other hand, answers the question, what are you allowed to do? That's like having a specific hallway pass signed by your teacher to enter a restricted classroom. Broken access control happens when that security guard correctly checks your ID at the front door, confirming you belong in the building, but then the school completely fails to check your hallway pass once you're inside. So you just walk right up and open another student's locker simply because you asked to. The system authenticated you, sure, but it completely failed to authorize your actions. The fundamental rule we keep coming back to is you shouldn't be able to open that door. Section 3. Types of access flaws, from the hallway to the browser. The most common type of this flaw is called IDOR, or Insecure Direct Object Reference. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of heavy technical jargon, but it just means the application gives you a direct handle to a resource, like an account number and a website link, but completely forgets to check if you actually own it. This leads right into what's called horizontal privilege escalation. Imagine you're logged into your online shopping profile, and you notice your user ID is 123 up in the browser's URL. Well, what if you just highlight that 123, type in 124, and hit enter? If the server doesn't check your digital hallway pass and suddenly shows you someone else's private data, bam, you've just horizontally escalated your privileges. You crossed account boundaries at the exact same user level. Alternatively, we have vertical privilege escalation. This occurs when a regular everyday user, or even just a guest, navigates directly to a hidden admin URL. Say you type /admin/settings into your browser, and the server fails to verify that you actually hold an administrative role. Suddenly, you gain full system control. You just upgraded yourself from a regular student to the school principal. Attackers also use techniques like forced browsing, which is essentially just guessing hidden directories on a server. Or they might exploit missing function-level controls. That's really just a fancy way of saying an application hides the delete account button on your screen. But if you somehow figure out the underlying command and send it anyway, the server just blindly executes it without checking your permission. Section 4. 10 million records stolen. The Optus breach. Let's bring this back to reality. Over the course of a few frantic days in September 2022, Australia witnessed a massive crisis. Suspicious activity was noticed on September 20th. By the 22nd, the breach was public, and on the 24th, a hacker posted a ransom note demanding $1.5 million in cryptocurrency, threatening to release the personal data of 10,000 customers every single day. So how on earth did they pull this off? Well, the attackers discovered an exposed API endpoint. And get this endpoint had absolutely no server-side authorization checks. None. Zero. To make matters worse, it used sequential customer IDs, so the URL looks something like /users/5332. Because there was no lock on the door, the attacker just wrote a super simple script to loop through the numbers 5333, 5334, 5335, downloading millions of records completely automatically. Section 5. How to stop it. Building better defenses. Because access control is a logical flaw, meaning it's a failure of business rules rather than just a simple coding typo, automated security scanners often miss it entirely. They just don't know who is supposed to access what. So developers must intentionally build defenses to keep these digital doors locked tight. The ultimate fix requires a few mandatory steps. First off, never trust the client. Developers must enforce all authorization checks on the server side. Second, implement rigid role-based access control, or RBAC, so every user's limits are strictly defined. And third, adopt a strict deny-by-default posture. Basically, if a user isn't explicitly allowed to see a